Hey, nothing funny to say. Just if you haven't seen the reaction video that came before this, basically part one of episode 43, click here or click down in the description, go to that. And there's a cat scratching a couch in the background. I'll see you after the intro. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 43 part 2 of Discovering Doctor Who. Like I said in the beginning there, the last video was a reaction video, much longer than I expected it to be. Apologize for the background noise, we got a new kitty and she's very hyper. But that being besides the point. The episodes, just in case you don't know, that I'm talking about today are The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. And there is so much to cover about this that I am going to try and go as quickly as I can, but still give ample time to discuss everything I felt about these two episodes. And oh my god, so much. But anyway, to start off with, let's talk about my favorite parts of these episodes. And number one, the entire first episode, The Stolen Earth. The entire episode was just awesome. It had to have been one of the most well-executed, possibly one of the most perfectly executed episodes I have seen so far on this show. It did have some issues that I will comment on in a little while, but just overall, it was so very well done. And I mean, all of the acting, so good. Bringing all the characters back, like we had Sarah Jane, we had Rose, we had, excuse me, the reintroduction of the Daleks, which, now that I think about it, I think that was their first appearance actually in this entire season. Oh, what else? What else? There's so much, and it's like I had so many things I wanted to say about that first episode by itself, and just now all of a sudden it's not coming to me. I should have had more detailed notes. But seriously, it was just so well done. Donna's family, both Wilf and I am forgetting her mom's name right now, but they were really good in both of these episodes. Wilf, of course, I mean, he's good in all the episodes that he's been in. But yeah, just overall, with the exception of the issues that I will talk about in a little bit, the episode was just great. And I don't know what else to say about that. But moving on, my number two favorite part about these episodes is that David Tennant didn't leave yet. Now, I know a lot of people have issues with basically how that whole regeneration thing occurred, him canceling the regeneration by using the hand and all that. And I can certainly understand that. But the weirdness of that logic aside, I was just happy that David Tennant was still around. Honestly, I do. Because, I mean, I'm looking forward to finding out what the Matt Smith Doctor is like, but it just felt like it would be such a sudden thing to, or rather for David Tennant to just be gone all of a sudden. And that really, honestly, that would have been a huge detriment to this two-parter in my opinion, had they just taken him out all of a sudden and reintroduced the new Doctor in the middle of all this chaos. I feel like that would have detracted from the story overall. And yeah, like I said, I'm glad that they kept him around, and I'll expand a little bit more on the other things that came from that here in a little bit. My third favorite part of these two episodes was the fact that the whole gang is back together throughout basically this entire run, with the exception of that one very temporary companion. I don't even remember his name. I think it was Adam during the 9th Doctor season. It's great to see everyone back. Even though I don't particularly care for Jackie, it was good to see her back around and contributing what I saw to be reasonably well throughout the, well, the second episode really, because she wasn't in the first one. But yeah, just the fact that the gang is back together, Sarah Jane Smith, Jack Harkness, Rose, Martha, and Donna, of course, but everyone's back together, and it really just, it was sort of like a little family gathering for what was technically the finale of the 4th season. Even though David Tennant stuck around a little bit longer, and apparently, you know, the head writer of the show, or Russell T Davies, apparently he stuck around a little bit longer than was originally expected. You know, it was basically a nice send-off for them to all come back together and be able to go their separate ways, some of them more than others, in the end. And yeah, I really like that. Now, my 4th favorite part about these 2 episodes, one simple word: exterminated! Probably not even saying it right, but the Daleks screaming exterminate in German. If you saw the previous video, you know how much that made me crack up. And yeah, that was just pure and simple one of the best parts of these 2 episodes. Now, my 5th favorite part about these 2 episodes is the not Doctor, or basically the Doctor's clone, the half-human, half-Doctor clone, the one with only one heart. And I know that this is another part of the 2 episodes, or rather the 2nd episode, that has irked a lot of people. It's part of just that really weird resolution to the whole thing. But him existing at all, I found absolutely hilarious. First of all, the fact that he just grew from the hand. That was a very interesting scene to see. And it also brought out one of my favorite lines, and it's just a simple one as well. But it's when Donna says, "It's you!" "Oh, yes." And then she says, "You're naked." "Oh, yes." Just something about that execution was perfect, and it made me crack up. I absolutely loved it. And really, I don't think it could have been executed any better. It's like those 2 were just perfect for that scene. And then, well, there was also the whole resolution with Rose. The Rose wanted to stay with the Doctor, but the Doctor clone, being half-human, had a very vengeful side, so he was responsible for annihilating all of the Daleks. So the Doctor wanted, like the real Doctor, wanted nothing to do with him. So the fact that, in a way, the Doctor, or at least a part of him, gets to live out the rest of its days, or his days, with Rose, which is something that so many people wanted, especially as soon as they got separated in that episode Doomsday. But yeah, it was there was something else too. Oh, the sassiness. The fact that he got, like, that clone got part of Donna into him, and just the sassiness and just the back and forth. Again, such a great scene between David Tennant and Catherine Tate. It had me cracking up. It was just so good, so well done. Yeah, the Doctor's clone, or as I like to call him, the not Doctor. Now, my 6th favorite part about these 2 episodes, the reality bomb. Now, before you click that dislike button, here's my reason. The reason why I like the idea of the reality bomb is that it reminded me of something that basically occurred in DC Comics. Now, for those of you that aren't really familiar with the comics, there was this special event that took place, I think it was in the 80s? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in the 80s, called Crisis on Infinite Earths. And basically, a huge chunk of that story has to do with this antimatter going through and annihilating all of the different universes, all of the different side universes, side stories that had cropped up in the DC universe canon, because up until that point there were so many, like there were different versions of Superman, there were different versions of Batman, there were universes within DC that were like kind of present day but really in prehistoric times. There was just so much madness, so much disorganization, that this event was a way of basically removing all those extra universes and bringing it to just one, which became the DC canon until Infinite Crisis, which I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole other level of nerdy, and I could go on for hours with just that one. But the whole antimatter aspect is like the antimatter and the reality bomb. It's like they seem like one and the same. And just like how in the alternate universes, like Rose's universe, how the stars were going out, it just reminded me of how the antimatter in the DC comics was just destroying, like completely obliterating these different universes. And I really liked that idea. I just thought it was very, well, maybe not overall clever, but I thought it fit in really well to this story. And I mean, it raised some real stakes, in my opinion. Again, just because I have that memory of the antimatter. Now, in the end, did Doctor Who have all these extra universes to get rid of? No. So it's kind of pointless in that regard. But from just a pure sci-fi point of view, just pure science fiction, it's one of the biggest things that can occur, just like the complete elimination of reality. I don't know what the Daleks would have after that, because there would be nothing left, but still, I really enjoyed the reality bomb because of its relation to the antimatter. Now, number 7 favorite part of these 2 episodes was when the tables turned, when it basically came down to Martha has the Osterhagen key, getting ready to blow up the Earth if need be. Sarah Jane had the, what was it called? Basically, like an explosion in a tiny crystal. I don't remember what that was called exactly, but just that they basically have this standoff, and you know, giving the Daleks the ultimatum. It's basically go away or we're going to destroy everything. In Martha's case, you know, you need all of these planets. What happens if one is no longer there? And in the case of Sarah Jane and them, I lost my train of thought. In the case of Sarah Jane and them, just basically threatening to destroy everything in that immediate area. So that was a turn of the tables on the Daleks, but then they turned it back around by basically transporting all of the Doctor's companions to where they were, so Martha no longer had the Osterhagen key, nor did she have a way to use it, and the others no longer had access to the star diamond thing. So I just really, I don't know, I really like that, because you know, on one hand I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, they got the drop on them, but how is this going to get turned around? And they turn it around by basically just, I mean, using teleport technology, which on one hand, kind of a cheap move, not even on the part of the Daleks, just kind of plot-wise, like, okay, if you can teleport people instantly, why don't you do that with all kinds of other people? But again, I know that logic can't always come into these, or at least not completely solid logic, especially when there's something on this epic of a scale and you know that the episode can only be so long. So yeah, when the tables were turned, that was just one of my favorite parts of these 2 episodes. And the 8th favorite part of these 2 episodes, the DoctorDonna. And a few people have actually voiced the reasons why they didn't like the DoctorDonna, and it basically sort of comes down to, and it's mostly from people that don't seem to really care for Donna as a character, which, you know, that's their opinion. I personally really like Donna, but if you don't like Donna, I can understand why it would not be a great solution for you. But the fact that, for me, the fact that Donna gets part of the Doctor's mind into her head, and she all of a sudden becomes this quick-thinking, half Doctor, or rather half Time Lord. No, actually half Doctor, half Donna, and just quick thinking and taking control of the Daleks and just messing with them. It was just really good. I really like that aspect, and the fact that we went from this arc of Donna being, you know, just this, you know, very naive, very bossy girl that, you know, not a lot of people cared for, and I didn't completely care for her in the beginning when the first time she appeared in the show, but come to the end, she's gone from, you know, basically nobody to one of the most powerful, smart, and amazing beings in the entire universe. And I just absolutely love that for her character. One, because I again, really like the character Donna. And just, I don't know, it's just sort of like a little wish fulfillment. Just her wanting to be, or to basically prove herself wrong, because she's always talking about how she's not special, how she's, you know, no big deal, she's just a temp. But in this way, it's like, not only was she able to overcome that in a way, but she literally became one of the most special people in the universe. And I really, really like that. And I'm gonna talk about what happens afterward more coming up. But my ninth and final favorite part of these 2 episodes, and again, don't hit the dislike button yet, the towing scene. Now, I will say, the towing scene is ridiculous. The fact that they are moving the entire planet, the entire Earth, from one end of the universe to another, and all that's seemingly occurring on Earth are minor earthquakes. It's ridiculous and it's stupid. But again, taking just the pure sci-fi fun logic of it all, it worked for me. It honestly did. Looking past all the ridiculousness, and let's face it, there are very few sci-fi shows or movies that don't have ridiculousness to them. In fact, that's kind of a requirement that it have some element of ridiculousness in order to be a good sci-fi. Now, is this a stretch of the imagination? Hell yes! But just the triumphant music playing, all of the characters working together, except for Jackie, obviously, because the Doctor wouldn't let her. Just, that moment was just so good, and again, despite how silly it was, so powerful. I loved it, and it didn't even really bother me too much that apparently the moon had been staying in its little spot in orbit that whole time until the Earth returned. But yeah, that was fun, and I really like that. 100% understand reasons why you wouldn't like that, but for me, it works. Now, moving on from my favorite parts, as always, let's talk about some of my annoyances, some of the issues I had with these 2 episodes. Starting off with one that really bothered me in particular and felt out of character for the Doctor. When they reach the Medusa Cascade, and there's nothing there, the Doctor just gives up. Just completely gives up. Like, he gives no indication that he's going to try anything, gives no indication that he's going to try and, you know, look elsewhere, or even, you know, do some of his stuff to maybe see if they might be in another place in time or something like that. No, he just leans back and gives up. And that seemed so out of character. Like, completely out of character. And I don't know, maybe there have been other times where similar situations have happened, but possibly in Classic Who. But yeah, it just felt, from the show that I've seen so far, this is the first time that the Doctor just gave up and made no attempt to try anything else. And again, it just seemed really out of character, and it really bothered me. Moving on from that, my second annoyance with these 2 episodes is that although it was great to see Mickey and Jackie, and it was cool to see Ianto and Gwen from Torchwood, and what was Sarah Jane's son's name? Luke. You know, although it was great to see all those characters and be introduced to the ones that I hadn't seen before, they didn't feel entirely necessary. Luke, well, I take that back. Luke kind of had a purpose. He did some things, but otherwise it seemed like the rest of the characters were just kind of there. It's like to make it some sort of big, you know, to just sort of solidify the crossover event, even though there were characters like Sarah Jane and Rose that were, you know, and Jack Harkness, obviously, that, you know, they basically filled that role of making the crossover. I don't know, and again, like I mentioned before, this was going to be the writers. I keep forgetting his names sometimes. I keep wanting to say Robert Downey Jr., but that's obviously not right. Russell T. Davies, yes, Russell T. Davies. Even though this was supposedly going to be his last show that he would be writing, and it was the technical finale of the 4th season, I just, and I completely get why, you know, they were bringing everyone together because they wanted to make it more epic, they wanted to make it bigger. The characters just overall felt like they were kind of there, especially Jackie. Mickey I can kind of see just because of, you know, him not having a reason to be in the other universe anymore. But especially Jackie, I mean, okay, she was looking for Rose. Okay, whatever. Anyway, just like I said, it felt like there were unnecessary characters there that really could have been skipped over in the end. Now, my third issue with these 2 episodes is when the Doctor and Rose see each other and they're running toward, you know, one another, and then the Dalek shoots the Doctor. Now, from the angle they were going, looking back for me, it seems like Rose would have seen the Dalek first. She would have been the first one to see the Dalek, and she would have had an opportunity to shoot it with her gigantic gun that can blow them up in one shot. Unless it has to be from close range, I don't know. But that really bugged me in that it feels like Rose should have seen and shot the Dalek. Again, if there's some reason why that logic doesn't fit in, please let me know. I might have missed something, but it really bothers me that, you know, while they're running and while she has a seemingly better vantage point, that she wouldn't have seen the Dalek. But moving on, my 4th and final issue with these 2 episodes is that they were overstuffed with stuff. Or just to make it a little bit more fun, overstuffed with wibbly-wobbly stuff. And what I'm saying there is, and it goes along with really my second annoyance, where it felt like there were too many characters that were unnecessary, but it felt like they were trying to fit so many things in to these 2 episodes, which they did a good job, like a really good job of in the first episode, but then in Journey's End, it felt like, not that they were necessarily losing steam, but they kept trying to fit in more and more and more, more references and more people, more places, having the Doctor reflect back on all the people that have died throughout his run, and I don't know, it felt like there was too much, and it felt like that episode ran on for too long. Like that was the first time in quite a while that I was actually looking at the clock near the end, because I was like, well, it has to be almost over, right? No, I still have like 15 minutes, or I still have like 20 minutes. So that was just really strange. And again, not something that usually occurs with me when it comes to Doctor Who, especially in the more recent episodes. But yeah, it being overstuffed and having way too much, it felt One of the commenters actually mentioned this. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I don't want to say just in case I get it wrong. But basically, it felt like a fan fiction of sorts. That, so basically someone just took all of these different aspects of technically the Ninth Doctor and 10th Doctor's runs and just mashed it all into one and just tried to find some resolution to most of it. And in a way, they did a good job. Overall, the logic was pretty sound. I will say that overall, the logic is sound. You have to stretch the imagination. Not gonna lie there, you have to stretch the imagination. But I felt like overall it was sound and it was pretty solid. But yeah, it just, I can't distract myself from the fact that the whole thing did feel overstuffed in the end. And that's my cat whining on the top of the couch. Alright, and moving on from the annoyances, quotes from these two episodes, so hard to pick just one. And this is one of those two-parters where I really wanted to find one quote. And I really had to pull teeth with this one because this is two episodes that have just so many quotable lines that I'm sure all of you will be able to say what your favorite quotes are, and very few of them will be exactly the same. But mine is actually a line that Davros says to the Doctor when they have them captured, and all of the different companions have basically threatened what they're going to do if Davros doesn't give up. And it's this: the man who abhors violence, never carrying a gun. But this is the truth, Doctor. You take ordinary people and you fashion them into weapons. Behold your children of time, transformed into murderers. I made the Daleks, Doctor. You made this. And that was just one of the most absolutely chilling moments really throughout the entire run. Because yes, the people that the Doctor surrounds himself with, they do a lot of things, a lot of questionable things by a lot of people's ethics. But they do whatever they can to help the Doctor and to save humanity when necessary, save themselves. But, you know, in a sense, the Doctor, although he claims that he abhors violence, it does, in a sense, make or help form these people into these diabolical weapons. Again, that's not, it's not the most accurate way of seeing it, I would say, but that is certainly one interpretation someone could make of the people that have spent time with the Doctor. Personally speaking, anyway. Now again, I know that there are so many good quotes from these two episodes, so please let me know what your favorite quotes were, because I don't know if many people particularly like that one, but I'm saying this for like the third time. Please let me know what your favorite quotes were. And now, my overall thoughts on these two episodes. I love them. It was easily, for me, it was one of the best two-parters throughout this entire run. Or from everything that I've seen so far of the show. In my opinion, much better than Doomsday. I don't know how it, I don't know how I would say it compares to The Last of the Time Lords. In some ways, I think I actually liked it better. Might feel different upon reflection, but that's besides the point. These were two really good episodes. And the occasionally very silly logic aside, I felt they were very solid. They were definitely epic in scale. And it brought together all these different characters that I had different emotional attachments to. and just made a great, wonderful story that I laughed, I was inquisitive at times, and I cried. And for those of you that saw the previous video, and for the last, I don't know, maybe it was 10 minutes or so, when the Doctor has to wipe Donna's mind because of what is happening to her, because the Doctor's mind being in her was basically going to make her burn up, it was going to kill her. Now that, I mean, by itself, incredibly emotional, very heart-wrenching. But my reason for, and again, for those of you that saw the video, I didn't say anything that entire segment. It was hard for me to watch while I was going through and editing that. And as many of you saw, I was very angry there at the end when I turned the camera off. And the reason is not just because, you know, Donna was leaving. That was definitely part of it. But my reason for being so upset and so angry at that point. And again, this wasn't, and some people's like, they joke, it's like, you know, am I mad at Russell T Davies? No, I'm not mad at him. The reason why it upsets me so much is this. Now, most of you know I'm married. My wife, I absolutely love her. And although their personalities are not exactly the same in any way, the character Donna and my wife are similar to me in various ways. One being that a lot of people say that they don't like Donna, especially at first, because of how brash she is, how in your face she is. Some would call her a bitch. And from discussions that, you know, I've had with my wife, she has seen people as seeing her that way. And then Donna meets the Doctor. And throughout the arc, whether the episodes were good or bad, she shows visible growth. Even just in the first episode we see her in, back in season 3. We see visible growth, and we see the character changing for the better. We see true compassion. And it's not even necessarily the character changing, that's the character showing her true colors, learning her true worth, even if she doesn't realize it. And since after the day I met the woman that is now my wife, and we've had various discussions, that's like, you know, she feels that she's told me that she thinks she's become a better person since meeting me. And I feel exactly the same. I feel like I've become more of who I truly am. And I feel like I have become a better person because of her. So in a lot of ways, I'm not going to go into detail on the arc, or the character arc of Donna Noble reminds me a lot of my wife. And I'm going to try not to break down thinking about this. And the moment that I realized that the Doctor was going to wipe her memories, that she could never know he exists, who he is, she could never remember any of the things she had done, any of the wonderful things she had done for people. In my mind, I start thinking about what would happen if my wife forgot everything. She couldn't remember me. She couldn't remember any of the things we've done together. She couldn't remember anything that happened since the moment we met. And on one hand, like in cases of amnesia, you can try and rebuild those memories. The idea of losing her and never, ever being able to tell her about any of that, to never be able to spend any of that time together, kills me. And the aspect that Donna was not a romantic interest for the Doctor. She went from just being a friend to his best friend. And my wife is my best friend. Absolutely and completely. And again, the idea of losing my best friend like that, never being able to see her again, never being able to talk to her again, and her never being able to know I exist or remember any of the things we've done together, just absolutely kills me. And all of that's going through my mind while this scene is playing out. And then just to make it a little extra punch in the gut, when Donna wakes up and sees the Doctor, no idea who he is, and he goes to say goodbye, she just brushes him off. Because he's nothing to her. Yeah. All of the emotion of losing what is the person who has become my favorite companion on the show. And I say that without a doubt. She's my favorite companion on the show that I have seen. And combining that with all these thoughts I'm having about like a similar situation with my best friend, the person I love most in this world, just became overwhelming for me. So, like I've said before, for those of you that don't like the character Donna, I'm not going to say I can understand because I do enjoy her. But if you don't, I know you have your own reasons. And you may not have enjoyed the finale because of how central she was to the plot. But it's really hard to be serious right now with her playing in the background. I know that it may not have been the most fulfilling finale, the best solution to what was happening in the story for you. But one of the reasons why I love the character so much and why it just absolutely killed me that she went out the way she did is because of that emotional connection, personal connection I have to the character because of certain personal similarities I can see between my wife and this character. It may be, I may not have explained that very well, it may be a bit confusing, and if so, I truly do apologize. I tried to explain it the best I could. But yeah, again, for me, these 2 episodes were just phenomenal, and one of the absolute most heart-wrenching endings for any show I think I've ever seen. By far. I thought that when the Rose was divided from the Doctor that would be sad, but it doesn't hold a candle to this for me. It really doesn't. And again, if any of you were able to keep a straight face with her playing in the background, I commend you, because it wasn't very easy to concentrate with her playing in the background. But anyway, as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Discovering Doctor Who. I hope you liked the reaction video that came before this one. There may be another one coming in the somewhat near future, or relatively near future, as requested by several of the commenters. But that will come at a later day. Everyone, I will see you next time for the continuation of Season 4. Yeah, I'm going to count the specials as Season 4 still, because I don't know how else to do it. I'm just going to follow the Netflix rules. But, everyone, I will see you next time for the episode The Next Doctor. The first one without Donna. I'm probably going to be a little bit aggravated because of that fact, but what are you going to do? Life has to move on. Everyone, I'm Papa Ken, and until next time, Alonzi!